going to do today is just to do exam papers with human impact. I want to prepare you for what's around the corner. Right, you know the song by The Weeknd, I Feel It Coming? You know what's coming? Matric is coming. So, firstly what we're going to do is, I want to first do the questions in our booklet, taken from the matric exams, and that was the homework I asked you to do. Not the prelims that I put on the group. That we have to do together. So we take baby steps and then we go to the prelims 2017 questions. Now of course I cannot ask you to do any other question. You can only do the human impact question. So, before we even start doing that, yesterday we learned about the greenhouse effect. Now as I'm talking about it, hopefully you're thinking about it, you can give me an answer. You learned the difference between the greenhouse effect and the enhanced greenhouse effect. Please, grade 11s, such an important term you must know. You know the two main greenhouse gases. Who can quickly scream out that answer? In order, carbon dioxide, methane. Good. We know already what are the two main causes of for the increase of CO2 in the atmosphere. Who can scream that out quickly? In order, burning of fossil fuels, transport. Good. When you know the causes, you can come up with the solution. So what's your first solution to burning of fossil fuels? What's the only answer most memos have? Come. Alternative source of energy. But what I want you to do in brackets for me, give me an example. And what you must first give me is nuclear power. Okay? Don't talk about solar. We spoke about that yesterday. And then transport, what is your solution? Public transport. Right. Now, because remember I told you, you have to come up with solutions. Now, when I was doing the exam papers does not have the word solutions. They use another word called strategies. Strategies is another word for solutions. Okay. So, we spoke about that yesterday. We spoke about the ozone. Now, what is the main cause? Because I forgot to tell you this yesterday. Main cause of the hole. What is causing the damage to the ozone layer? CFCs. But remember, we cannot use the abbreviations. So, chlorofluorocarbons. In the one matric exam, they had HFCs and CFCs. I want you to know there is also something called hydrofluorocarbons that also damages the ozone. So please write that down. So in the one matching column, it was CFCs and HFCs. Both damage the ozone layer. You must write it down. Because if you come for winter school next year, I'm not going to concentrate on this so much, because I know you've been here already. So, the two causes for the thinning of the ozone layer, CFCs, HFCs. CFCs stand for chlorofluorocarbon. HFCs stand for hydrofluorocarbons. Just make sure you know that. Sorry? So, thinning of the ozone layer, depletion of the ozone layer is caused by CFCs, stands for chlorofluorocarbons. Second one, hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs. Huh? We learned it as carbon fluorocarbon. That's right. CFCs. That's right. Now, water availability. That's the next section. Right, so as soon as you're done writing, we can discuss, and we need to discuss strategies to increase water availability. Now, water availability, we know South Africa is facing a 5-year-long drought. Water availability means we need to increase the amount of water available to all people in our country. Name some of the ways, name a few factors that is decreasing. Now listen to the question again. Decreasing the water availability in South Africa. Now here we cannot write notes. Now we have to start thinking. Right, you cannot ask me, please write this all the time. I can promise you in all your notes and all your exam papers, you're going to find this. So, at least a minimum of 3. Hand is up. Mashiana. Sorry? So, what is that known as? Climate change. So, we can just say climate change. Climate change, if they ask you to explain, we know climate change, high evaporation rates of water. In certain areas, there will be more droughts, more floods, unpredictable weather patterns. That's one. I just want you to state. So climate change is affecting water availability. What else? Yes? Eutrophication, which is basically caused by the use of fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides. We've just spoken about the cause. What must you come up with just now? I'm going to ask you the strategy. The strategy. Now remember, this is your paper 2, 75 marks. I can promise you, this might be your essay. And if you go to the exam thinking it's not going to be your essay, you're going to get a big shock. So prepare yourself mentally. And if it was me setting your paper, I would ask you how. What are the factors that affect the availability of water, and how would you increase water availability to all South Africans? Right, it's only 17 marks, not so much for you to think about. What else is affecting the water availability? Sorry? Pollution. Yes, pollution. Wastage of water. Destruction of wetlands. Wastage of water. Droughts, good. That can fall under climate change. So climate change, droughts and floods. So we have more than 3 factors. Right. My favorite question. And floods. But I told him to put it under climate change. Okay. Now, a question I've seen a lot in many of the prelim papers. What steps have municipalities put in place to decrease water wastage, and increase water availability in our country? You do know your water is supplied to you by a municipality. Yes. And my question is for you to explain, not state. Explain. So we'll start off with 4 marks. That means I want 2. We have to know this. Yes, that's him. Loud. You're supposed to be sitting here. Yes, that was last year, January. Okay, maybe your parents, not you. You still got up and took 20 minutes to shower. Yes, until you start paying. So yes, we increased, the water price has went up. Municipalities, government has increased the water price to prevent people from wasting. If it's very expensive, if water is very expensive, hopefully people will waste less. So that's it. Good statement and reason. I'm asking the question now, Tiffany. No. She's talking about price of water. That's something different, right? Okay, I'm talking municipalities, guys, right? Okay, so government, yes, increases the price. Yes?
So, ma'am, is that an
answer?
The water restrictions that are put in place, that also raises awareness of the problem.
What awareness? You just get more upset that there's no water. You're aware that you have no water. I'm just teasing you.
Because now everyone knows to be cautious with what they use.
No, it just means if there's no water tomorrow, I'm going to take my 5 liter of water and I'm going to save it. I'm going to waste more water. Now, unfortunately, in South Africa, we have poor infrastructure of our dams. And the dam walls are breaking, the pipes are breaking, and our taps and everything is damaged. So what needs to be done is, if a pipe is burst, what must happen immediately? Must be fixed immediately. Why? Less wastage of water. How many times have you driven to school and you've seen these big hydrants that are just spurting out all this water? So immediately we fix all these damaged pipes, taps, in your home. You also, but that's your own way you're going to increase water availability and decrease wastage. So it must be stated a reason. So we have 2. I want to give you another one. I'm not sure if you noticed, but for a long time now, when you're showering, the pressure of the water is not the same. When the municipalities decrease the water, then there's less water coming out, then there's less wastage of water. So what have the municipalities done? Decrease the pressure of water. So you have at least now 3 strategies, and you've explained them. You as an individual, in your home, what can you do as an individual? So they're going to ask strategies, town planners, municipalities, that's as a group. If they ask you in the exam as an individual, what can you do? My job is what, ladies and gentlemen? There's it, education. What you do with it is fine. But mine is education and public awareness. So I want to teach you, if there's any question in your exam that you don't know an answer to, please write education and public awareness. Because that's what we do. How many posters you see everywhere that says, stop, don't waste water. Close a tap that's leaking. What do? We just look at it and we carry on walking. But the point is, it's there to educate you. Public awareness. What did you do in your home? You've been quiet the whole time. Give us one answer on the last day.
I would make sure all our taps in the house are closed
Properly, good. What else?
Now I switch the tap off while I brush my teeth.
There's it. You see, when we're brushing our teeth, we love to see the water mix with our toothpaste. But that is wasting water. And, yes, Kama, what would you do? Very good. Take shorter showers. Yes.
Is it true that showering uses less water than
Yes. Yes.
Because then I do shower.
Yes. Instead of bathing in lots and lots and lots of water, we could shower. That's what she would do. What else would you do? If taps are leaking, are damaged, what will you do? Immediately replace them. Okay.
Put a bucket outside when it's raining so you can
Your bucket's outside the house now. We used to do that. You were laughing. We had these big, big drums. We used to collect rainwater. Oh, that's why our generation is so successful. We didn't cause these problems, right? You have to fix these problems. Tiffany? Very good. Why must she water her plants at night? Low evaporation rate, less water loss. And then, the water that you use in your home, like washing dishes, washing your clothes, that's grey water. You can actually use that again to wash your car. Okay. Yes. If there's no water, what you're going to do? Your car is going to be dirty. So now we're telling you to use the grey water for washing your car. Okay, then you're going to be happy with the dirty car.
Now in Cape Town, to save water, you aren't allowed to use your hose pipe. So if you're going to wash the car, you use a bucket, so you lose less water.
Cape Town has used all their water for the year. They are only allowed to. Now you need to watch TV, guys. Because if they do not have water, they're coming to get our water. We're going to give them water. This is our people. We're going to give them water. So now they've used their water. Now they're going to increase the price of water in Cape Town. They are only allowed to have drinking water. Some of them bath every second day. Washing of clothes, they wash once a week. Yes, it is extremely serious. So here we're sitting and you're worried. There's a lot of rain for us. We need to think. I'm telling you about the 5-year drought in Cape Town. It's even worse. And now there's different plans going about. It's just on TV today. You need to watch, and it's just on the news today. What in case that's in your exam paper? How would you help your people in Cape Town? Ish. Be smart. Yes, next year I heard that too.
Solution our generation has come up with is the desalination plant will be up and running in December. Yes.
And when we don't have electricity and Eskom, we're sitting in the darkness. Because desalination takes a lot of energy. Right, so we're running out of fossil fuels, so that will make us run out of our coal faster.
Ma'am, but Cape Town has water restrictions and also restrictions on electricity, because if you use a certain amount, it becomes more expensive. So it goes both ways, electricity and water.
Yes, yes. So we can't. Desalination. So,
I'm from Cape Town, I know what's happening.
right, so This was last night. You had to watch the news. These are new things as well. Came out last night. Right, so these are all the problems. Yes, it did say March 2018, I heard that they will run out of water. Okay, so this is a serious thing. You'll have to read up on the news. That there might be an article on that for you in your newspaper, in your exam paper, case studies. Remember, it's 75 marks. So, water availability, very, very important. We are one of the only countries in the world that allows the first 10 kiloliters of water to be free. You do know that, eh? And then after that, the more water you use, the more you pay. Okay, and water is an important basic need, so that's why our country gives the first 10 kiloliters for free. Okay, so that is very, very important. So water availability. Now let's talk about, I want to talk about thermal pollution. Okay, I know some of you have not heard about it, so I quickly want to talk about it before we start doing our exams, our exam papers. Thermal pollution, from the word thermal, means heat. Certain industries and factories release their waste into nearby water sources. And that water, that waste is hot. Now, for 4 marks, 5 marks, you must know this. I've seen this in at least 3 papers. Thermal pollution, that hot waste, as soon as it's pushed into the water, decreases the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. Decreases the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. What's the consequence of that? If there's less dissolved oxygen in the water, I think I remember your name now, Nabila? Sorry? Less dissolved oxygen in the water, less oxygen for all those living organisms. Right now we can only think of fish, right? So yes, less oxygen for the fish. What will happen to all those living organisms? Die. The heat of the water increases the metabolism of certain organisms. So what does that mean? They're going to start to eat more food, and eventually they can run out of food. What will happen to these organisms if they run out of food? But before you write the word die, please give the explanation for before. What happens to cause them to die? Okay. What is your solution to thermal pollution? I told you I never like to teach something if I don't have a strategy. Not me. You need to have the strategy. I'm on my way out on the earth. And if you watch news this morning, you will see Prince Charles was also talking about global warming, and it's a very, very big thing. So please now start watching the news. Again, teachers go and look on the newspaper for case studies. Okay. So, strategies to thermal pollution. Let us all go make a spaceship and we all live on the spaceship. Like the movie WALL-E. WALL-E. Because you love movies and you watch movies. Yes, Mashiani. Watch it. Remember, you're going home after this, you're all going to watch it. Now listen, they have to release that waste somewhere. But let's say you're the CEO of this company. How am I going to stop you from doing that?
Depends what kind of company.
Oh yes, one of the biggest companies. Let's say it's mining companies, because they release the hot waste as well into the water. First thing, strategy. You can put in laws. You can put in, I would not go that way first. I'll first go with penalties. So if these companies do put the hot water and waste into the rivers, dams or lakes, we maybe fine them. Penalties, fines. But I like to work on a more positive thing. Provide incentives, because everybody wants to make more money. So the company that does not throw their waste into the rivers, dams and lakes, let's provide incentives. If I tell you I'm going to punish you, you're definitely going to do the misdeed. But if I tell you I'm going to give you something like money for not doing it, you know everybody wants money. Yes. So incentives. Incentives. Provide incentives to companies so they do not pollute the water.
If you
Where must all the money come from? Tax. But this is life science. We're not asking you where the money is. We just want the solution right now. What's your solution then, Chris? Love to see what's your strategy then? Is he making you nervous? Can you please turn to the front? You have to. You must come up with some answer. You have to. What in case that's your answer? That's your question.
Ma'am, is the thing toxic? The waste.
It's just hot.
So can't they bury it?
Bury it? Come on, it's hot. Only when it's hot, it goes in the water. So what must I do with it first? Cool it down, and then you can release it into the water. But remember, it's not the actual people in the companies that are doing that. We want to get rid of the waste faster so we can carry on with our production. That can slow our production down. So how you wouldn't know this if I did not do what to you? Educate you. So what must we do? We need education, we need public awareness. We need to have these big campaigns where everybody knows the implications of thermal pollution. Do you understand? Yes. Like climate change. People never believed about climate change. That is something such as climate change. But now, because the whole world is talking about it, we know it's climate change. So the same thing with thermal pollution. All we have to do is just educate, talk. Right? Let's not worry about the money and where it comes from. Let's not, yes. Eventually it's going to come from the taxpayers' money. That's why we're educating you to go into these amazing fields, and then we'll take your money. Right? So, what other strategies? It's just hot waste. It's hot water. Hot water. Yes. Certain factories release, which I'm still going to do with you, lead, mercury, cadmium. That's dangerous. That's in our prelim, which I still want to talk to you about later on. But that I'll do right towards the end to give you a taste of what questions they're really going to ask you in matric. All right, for now, I'm just doing the baby questions, like thermal pollution. Okay. Yes, it is. But to purify the water, yes. But we need a special field of people to do that. You know who they are? They are called chemical engineers. Who's going to be a chemical engineer? Let's see. Wow. Yes. So guess what? We have a whole lot of waste in water that is actually our drinking water. Our drinking water. So chemical engineers can test the water, see what's in the water, and find ways to purify the water. Okay, so again, like I told you, my job is the easiest, education. Your job, hopefully I'm giving you doubts about your career. I hope so. I hope so. Let's hope you're not those selfish children. Because one day when you earn all that money and there's no earth, what are you going to spend it on? And remember, money comes from trees. So if there's no trees, you're not getting that money. So we need to look after the earth. Because you know what? Your children are going to blame you. The future generations are going to blame you. They're going to ask you, what did you do? What are you going to say? No, I just became rich. Yes, the future generations are going to look at you. So I got the easiest job, I told you. Easiest job. All right, so that's water availability, strategies, and thermal pollution. Now, I know most of you haven't done this, so that's why I'd like to quickly talk about it. You're still going to do it, so don't have to write anything down. The next thing is mining. How mining decreases the quality of water. Now, all mines must be built near a dam, because the waste must go into the river, dam, or lake, a nearby water source. Now, during mining, you with us? Okay, good. Or who are you looking at? You can ask him afterwards to be your date to the matric dance. Okay, right. Afterwards. Right. Now, when you mine, you expose a special type of rock, a sulfur-bearing rock. And this rock is called pyrite. When water washes over this rock, sulfuric acid forms. And this sulfuric acid flows into our drinking water. And sulfuric acid, you cannot tell the difference. So immediately when this water is absorbed by plants die. all the organisms in that ecosystem, the aquatic ecosystem, dies. When you drink the water, yes, but of course, because you cannot see that. So that is how mining affects and decreases the quality of the water drastically. Again, can the water be purified? Definitely. Who's going to do it for us? Chemical engineers. You know, Brazil is one of the best countries, the forerunners in the world as well. Because for every one person, there are 5 engineers, 5 chemical engineers. Most problems can be solved by engineers. Okay, so that is a very, very important, a good field. So there's still time for you to change your career. Right, so that is now mining. So the question is going to be, how does thermal pollution affect availability of water, quality of water, and how can mining affect the quality of water? The next thing we need to talk about is alien plants. Oh, I see you're getting bored, eh? Then I'm going to bring out those 2017 prelims that will knock you off your feet and give you a big reality check. And I won't give you the answers. I will ask each one of you that are busy getting distracted here, I'll ask you the questions, right? So, alien plants. Alien plants, another word for alien plants, alien invaders, exotic plants, means the same thing. An alien plant is not indigenous to our country. Was brought here by mistake, accidentally. But let me just be honest with you, we were not that smart, we're not that educated then about the effects of these animals and these plants. It's true, as we develop more and more technology, we become smarter. All right, so these alien plants are a big problem to us. These plants have longer roots, grow deeper into the ground and get more water and compete with our indigenous plants, and that's a big problem. And our indigenous plants die. And these plants will carry on flourishing because this environment is amazing, and these plants, the alien plants, have no natural predators or enemies. And our tree, jacaranda, is an alien tree. So now you cannot plant a jacaranda, right? If it's spread with the pollen, no problem, but you cannot. You will be charged, you'll be fined, because the jacaranda is drawing a lot of water from our water table. We need that. What's your solution? Or remember, any solution, I'm doing it. Education, public awareness. What would you do? To remove, because alien plants, if you get rid of most of our alien plants, our indigenous plants will grow well, and we will have enough water. I'll tell you all the other problems with the alien plants. What is your strategy? Very easy. You have to tell me how you're going to get rid of them and who's going to do this. Chris, are you going to Monday to Friday? What are you going to become when you finish school? All right, so you're going to be a forensic accountant. So Monday to Friday, you're going to do your job. Saturday and Sunday, will you go and remove these trees and these plants?
Yes, ma'am, I'll take care of Saturday.
Okay, no problem. See, one person. And now remember, he's been recorded on YouTube. We just mentioned his name, so we're going to hold you to it. So in 6 years' time, I'm coming back. I'm going to look for you, right? Yeah. Right. What else? Come, I always tell you, you have to think of a logical idea. And let's be honest, most of you, after you leave here, you don't care about the alien plants. Only when it really affects you, you don't have water. Then, oh, the alien plant, let us do this. Tiffany? Oh, Tiffany. Tiffany, were you listening to me when I was teaching you? About they have longer roots, right? Tiffany is forcing me to teach you the whole thing, whether you're ready for it or not. Tiffany, let's try to imagine this. Alien trees, plants have longer roots, grow deeper to the water table, use up more water than our poor indigenous plants, grow taller, get more sunlight than our trees and our plants, are more colorful, get all our pollinators. So do you want? Okay, thank you. Okay, that is our tree. Let's keep it like that. It's a very beautiful tree. So it's yes, right. Okay. That can work 2 ways. We have done that once. We brought in a natural predator to kill an alien animal. But we didn't know the consequences of that predator, and it damaged our ecosystem. Of course, you see, you have to have scientists who are going into these fields to guess, to speculate. You know, scientists always have a hypothesis. But most scientists are working on real science, not alien plants. Because, yes, how many of you are going to be scientists to save the world? There's one. Okay, 2. That is good. That is good. Right. So 2 scientists will help us. Please go into the field of helping the genetics make new trees. Right. You like to make new trees. It's very easy. Go home, take a seed, plant it. Yes.
I have a question, ma'am. These alien plants, did they come into the country by people doing it on purpose?
No.
Or is it they just brought it in?
So it was deliberately by mistake. See, they didn't know. See, like I just said, deliberately. Because look, a flower must have looked amazing from Australia. They brought it here. This was like 20, 30 years ago. Come on. What did we know about alien plants and trees? Nothing. Right, so it looked pretty, they brought it home. And then on the jackets, when they used to come in, there's not a lot of control, so the seeds and the pollen used to be on the jackets. So that's why I'm saying by mistake. Yes, of course. And then if you're bringing an animal, the little rabbit looks so beautiful in Australia, I want it here in South Africa. They should clean it. Okay, let us not worry about cleaning, let's talk about these plants. Come, I need some logical solutions. Yes. Shh. I cannot hear loud. Explain. For the alien plants and trees. Okay. Yes, we cut them down. Like I said, who's going to cut them down? Chris is going to go do that himself. So if we have thousands of alien trees, Chris is going to go cut them himself. One by one. Saturday and Sunday, he will take his family along and he will go and cut these trees. I need logical answers. So,
That's a question. Is there any way to use biological or chemical control?
that's what he said, bring a natural predator in. So that is biological control, yes. So you can bring another plant in here, but the problem is we don't know the effects of that plant or that animal in our environment. And most of them have damaged the ecosystem. So the first thing, if it's an alien plant or tree, and if it's a small plant, it's very easy, remove it physically. Yes, but remove it physically from the root. The other, which is very expensive and damages the environment, is poison the trees and the plants. And the acid and the chemicals also destroy our soil with our own organisms and our own trees. Okay, that's chemical. Right, and then, of course, we've had the biological and mechanical. So, but the point is we need people who are going to do this for us. Right, so again, it doesn't matter how amazing our solutions are, somebody has to do it. And my students always say, yes, there are people that don't do anything, they have no jobs, the pensioners, let them go and... Right now, they are only hope, guys, because you don't want to do this. Okay, so by educating you and having stricter control at airports now, which we do have, we are stopping that. But the alien plants and trees and animals we have now are already causing a damage. Okay, but alien plants, very important. Yes, write your questions down. I've got a lot of things I want to teach you guys. So now I want to start teaching you. You can ask me your questions and I'll break. Right? Now, so the alien plants also affect our food security. Because the alien plants grow so fast, it covers the land that we need to grow our millies and our potatoes. So it decreases food security as well. And now that's the next thing we need to talk about, and that is food security. Now some of us sitting here, yes, all of us sitting here, we have 3 meals a day. Some of us, we have more meals than that. Okay, so you have food security. Now that means having access all the time to enough food. It's for safe food, right? For a nutritious, healthy, balanced, productive life. Okay, Now, that's food security. But there are certain factors that are affecting your food security. The first one was alien plants. So alien plants are a big cause. Alien plants, alien invaders are affecting our food security. Now, so we're writing this down, okay, no problem. This I've seen in almost every single prelim paper. How alien plants affect food security. You keep on dropping your pen, so every time I bend, I'm going to charge you for me picking up that pen. When you go into learning this section, you will learn a few more scary things about alien plants and trees. Okay. Like we actually have a certain area of Australian wattle that we grow for our furniture and our paper. Okay. Yes. So we have, and you will learn a lot of that. So I don't want to talk about that, but it's controlled. It's controlled. They're not allowed to, before pollination happens, germination, cut down. Okay, so it's controlled. So there are a lot of things out there. We use these alien trees. Right, we need them. So alien plants, alien trees. So how does alien plants influence food security? Now, that's just a general question. And that's what you're going to get a lot. Influences food security. So at the end of your question, what must you say? Alien plants decrease food security or increases food security. Please make sure you do that. In the matric exam, that's all they're asking. They want you to answer their question. And most of you do not. And that's why you get 3 out of 4. Okay. So let's talk about alien plants now. How do alien plants influence food security in a country? Yes, I told you. Alien plants have longer roots, grow deeper, get more water. You have to put in that word, outcompetes our natural indigenous plants. You have to have it. That is almost always a compulsory mark. Write first, then I can, the answer's in my head, so I'll write down. The roots grow longer, gains more water, absorbs more water, and outcompetes our natural indigenous plants. What happens to our indigenous plants? Dies. And the land that could be used for growing crop is now covered by alien plants. I think it's time to start answering these questions now. Come get it. Right. I think you had enough time asking questions. It's my time now. Let's answer these questions from matric exams. First one is on my page, and it says 57. My page, it talks about, it's from the NCS Grade 12 Exemplar, the Human Science Research Council, HSRC. Page 62. Page 62. Now each one of you here, you've asked me many questions. Now it's my turn, and I'm going to ask you questions now. I need you to look at the mark allocation before you start rumbling out and giving me answers. Remember now, this is matric. These are matric questions. So even if they're asking for 2 marks, you must have 2 sentences. If you give us 4 sentences, nobody's reading more than that. So the first thing you do is you read a question, you look at the marks. Then you think about the answer and how you're going to reduce your answer into the number of points that is needed, or sentences. This question I've chosen because I've seen this question in almost many different ways in prelims. This is also a big problem in our country, food security. Most people do not have access to food. Some have only 1 meal a day, some do not have food at all. So there are many people in our country that are living in poverty. So examiners are going to test you on things that affect our country. Because like I said, whether you believe it or not, you are the future of the country and you must solve many of these problems. Okay. So the Human Science Research Council conducted a survey on food security across the provinces. The results shows that the overall percentage of food secure households in South Africa is 45.6% as to 48,000 in 2008. Right, that's shocking. They have all the different food insecure households. Read carefully. Sometimes you might see, you think you're looking at secure, when in the meantime it's food insecure. That's why you need to have your highlighter ready. They give you all the readings in percentage. And then they ask you what is meant by food security. And I told you, it's having access to enough food all the time to ensure a safe, nutritious, productive life. I told you this. Right? All the time, enough food. Okay. Use the data in the table to draw a bar graph for the 4 provinces. Then you think, bar graph, so easy. But can you figure out where the trick is? Most of you don't read properly. You will draw all the provinces. What did they ask you? 4 provinces with the highest percentage. So sometimes you must not think you do what you think you saw. You must actually highlight the important words. And can you see in those days, 2014, 7 marks for a bar graph. Quite amazing. Right, you could do with those 7 marks. And now it's time. 3.3333. State how the use of fertilizers by farmers increase food security for a country. How many marks is this? 1 mark. How many sentences? 1. So you must take all that knowledge that you have and put it in one statement that's going to guarantee you a mark. You're going to answer it. That's why your hands was up first. I'm just giving everybody 2 minutes. So as soon as 2 minutes are over, you must answer. Spoon feeding is over. You have to get a taste of grade 12. 1 mark, 1 sentence. Still thinking. Remember, 1 mark questions we must not take long, must know your work. 4 mark questions, yes, you take long. You learned about fertilizer yesterday. You want to answer the question for me? They. Who's they? So, carry on. Because you add more nutrients to the plants, more food. Right. So you just gave me a part. So you have to tell me what's going to cause the greater yield. Fertilizer has nutrients that makes the plants grow. More crop, more food. And you can actually answer it like that. Comma, comma, more food security, more nutrients, more crop growth. If you don't use the word more crop growth, you can say greater yield. But tell me why the fertilizers are actually going to cause the crops to grow more. Because the fertilizer adds nutrients that the plants need to grow. And they're asking you for the exact same question now, but how fertilizer decreases food security for a country. One minute, you must give you. Right. Everybody's still thinking. about this. This was just an exemplar, guys. This is not what's coming out end of the year and next year, hey? It's too much for 1 mark, eh? 1 mark is 1 line, 1 sentence. Okay. Remember, when in cases like this, the memo will have mark the first one only. So you have to really think about your answer carefully. Yes, Mashani. What's the answer?
I don't know if I used the right words, but I say eutrophication contaminates the same water that is needed to water the crops that is meant to feed the people of the country.
Yeah, but we don't use that river polluted water to water the crops. We use rainwater, we use irrigation. Right?
I wanted to ask a question.
No, man, I'm asking the question
No,
here.
just for clarity.
Yes.
When people feed security, when you talk about marine life, like when it comes to dam fishing, like some people, sustainable fishers.
Yeah, but now this is only for the households. And they're talking about crops. Are you going to add fertilizer to crops? Who's paying for that fertilizer? The farmer. How is he going to make you pay for it? He wants to get his money back, so he's going to tell you the crop's going to cost more. So fertilizers are expensive. Consumers will pay more to cover the cost for the fertilizer. I don't want you to read so way out like sustainable. It has nothing to do with the fishing. Yeah. Yeah, also it's not the right answer. Yes. Right. Yeah, no. They asking you the question, Tiffany, how does fertilizer decrease food security? Just answer the question. Why are you bringing in organic fertilizer now? Do you understand what I'm saying? You guys, already, you need to start practicing exam papers because you are not answering the question at hand. You are bringing in too many things. Answer the question that's in front of you. If they're asking how fertilizer affects food security, just answer that. And then relate it to this passage in the homes. Right? And we need to practice more and more papers. Right? You need to. Because it's going to be a big shock when you get to grade 12 and we don't know how to answer papers. How the use of pesticides by farmers can increase food security for a country. When we grow the same crop over and over like mealies, it's very easy for a pest to attack the mealies and eat the entire crop. So the farmers use pesticides to kill the pest, locusts or anything. So I'm just giving you the answer. We spray pesticides on the pests, more food, increase food security. Then pesticides are who is going to pay for it? You, indirectly through the cost of the crop. So it's a pattern. Can you see, Chris? It's a pattern. So you have to practice exam papers. There's no way you can get to this section in matric without practicing papers. State 2 factors other than the use of fertilizers and pesticides which may lead to a decrease in the percentage of food-secure households in South Africa since 2008. So they're asking you, why is it that there are so many households that do not have access to food? Can you give us some answers? And I want some good logical answers, no speculation here. Unemployment, yes. Inflation. Well, that I will say unemployment, inflation, okay? Hmm? Again, you can argue with to the matric exam who you're going to meet then. Hmm? I would go with more unemployment is one. I would go with overpopulation. Yeah, let's go with definite answers. Unemployment and inflation is the same thing. If you're unemployed, how is inflation going to affect you? Am I right? But I wouldn't give you a mark for it. Yeah, again, like I said, you're going to argue with the matric marker. All the best. Yes. Yes. Oh, we don't have. It says South Africa, does it not? Read the question for me. Yes. Droughts and floods. I would have said droughts and floods. Yes. Droughts and floods. Don't tell me the hurricane is going to come and blow your crops away, and that's why people won't have food. Climate change, yes. Climate change, you can have climate change. In South Africa, could occur. And your marks could increase if you carry on doing that. Yes, Mashiani. Isn't that, won't poverty / unemployment? Yeah. Listen. The big shock is going to be, look, in grade 11 you get to still see your paper. You still get to argue with the teacher who puts up with your arguments. Next year this time, who are you going to argue with? Really? Who? Who are you going to... Who he said he's going to argue with? What he said? Yes. But they take the best of the best, who are so strict. And the last time I marked in 2015, out of 3,000, only 1 mark changed. So it's fine, you can pay us. You can pay us. I'm serious. So, like I said, you can come here and you get cross with me that that's not the right answer. You need to prepare to get your mark the first time. And that's why you need to go and practice past exam papers. I put that guy's name on the group, eh? He does bind grade 11 papers as well. Okay. And he sells, I have a big green book with papers from 2008. All the prelims, all the provinces. On the group, I put there's a green note. All right. Come on, you did put it on, am I right? Yeah, they just don't check the group out. Shame. She'll delete herself from the group. Okay, you didn't want to charge your phones. Can I tell you what the Americans came up with? They have... Yes! Hosi, I have to. Because now you have to go buy these jeans from America. It's a skinny jeans. Amazing. That you put your phone in the back pocket and every time you walk, it charges your phone. With energy. So next time you're in America, you know what you need to do? Buy those skinny jeans. Okay. What did we discover? What did we discover? What did we do? Yeah, you South Africans. A lot of things that we can't think of now. Yes, like? The light bulb. Right, so, please, practice this. This was the first paper, right, and it was an exemplar paper. But I've seen this question on food security a lot because South Africa, we have about half of our population does not have access to food. And it's something we need to improve. Right. So, another question, come. Water crisis in South Africa. $65. I'm sure you're not shocked to see water crisis in South Africa. Oh my goodness, yes. You see, in your exam paper, people are just going to put things that are relevant to you. Right, so who has the biggest mouth in the class? Oh, yes, we know. Why is he turning around? Please stand up and read for us loudly. Articulate your voice. Thank you.
Water crisis in South Africa. The impact of water scarcity will be one of South Africa's biggest problems soon. Recently, a province had to switch off water supply because the dams were so close and It is stated that people are using more water than it's available. The demand is more than the supply. About 37% of clean drinkable water is being lost through poor infrastructure, leaking pipes, tripping taps, and wastage. About 60% is used for irrigation. Industries and gold mines industries and mines also contribute to the water crisis by polluting our water bodies. They generate harmful waste which is sometimes dumped into water bodies, creating acid mine drainage. The impact of climate change also adds to the water crisis. There is a suggestion that South Africa needs to work with neighbouring countries to come up with solutions. An example is to grow the agricultural products in neighbouring countries with a higher rainfall, and then South Africa imports these products.
Can you see it's March 2016? Refer to the extract. Now, the other advice I need to give you, especially with human impact, if these questions come out in the case study, please, most of the time, answer from the case study. Do not put in your own answer because the memo does not have that. Right. Refer to the extract and state 2 causes of the water crisis facing South Africa. What are the 2 causes? Causes of water crisis. The memo only had 3 words. Can I give you the 3 words? Climate change, wastage, and pollution. And if your answers are not in line with that, what must you do? You need to go home today, have a break, and tomorrow start downloading all the matric exam papers, paper 1, and start doing the human impact. So instead of saying poor infrastructure, that is basically wasting water. Go with the ones you know. Pollution and climate change. And it's there, it's in the passage there. State how importing agricultural products from neighboring countries will reduce South Africa's water crisis. How many marks is that? So you have to take all the information that you have in your head and put it in one sentence. And since Chris has so much to say, Chris.
Okay. Now, people of South Africa won't have to use clean drinking water to aggregate their crops, therefore reducing the amount of
Wow. I don't water the crops, the potatoes and the millies, I just eat it. It decreases the need for water for irrigation, so we save water. Simple, simple. What is the number one factor that uses up all our water in our country? Irrigation. Yes, it is irrigation. Second is household. Irrigation. So less water used for irrigation, then less. We save our water. That's how we conserve water. It's a good idea. Ooh, I'd love to hear what you're going to say here. Explain how switching off the water supply would affect the industries that depend on the water. How many marks? So you have to have 2 important points here. So of course, industries will have less production and less profit. So it leads to a decrease in production and decrease in profit. The South African government could possibly solve the water crisis by increasing the cost of water. Suggest 2 ways in which this solution could help reduce the water crisis. We spoke about the one already, indirectly. Yes, so what will your answer be? Only 2 marks or only 2 points? So if the water is very expensive, not you, but your parents will tell you, don't waste water, don't take so long in the shower. Your parents will nag you. But one day when you start earning, you will feel the effect on your pocket. So, if it's more expensive, people will waste less. We'll save more. Then we'll go put those big drums outside. And when it's raining, we collect the rainwater. Yes. And we'll have we'll have money to fix all the taps, the damaged infrastructure.
Use other countries to go across, wouldn't we then cause water problems in their countries?
My goodness, we're already doing it. We're already sharing water with 2 other countries. I think it's Botswana and Zimbabwe. We are sharing water, yes. Yes. Okay, it's already in, I think for about 2 years. Okay. Okay, thank you. We have water. You know, if you don't have water, what will happen is there will be no food. And then they're going to, the other solution will be that you must have tablets for your nutrients. But how are you going to swallow it? I don't know, because you don't have any water. Right. Who is reading this fast? The second person who talks too much in the class. Guess who is that? Let's go. Popular dam is a biological desert. What page? Ish. You. Stand up and articulate your voice.
Popular dam is a biological desert. The Hartbeespoort Dam is situated in the residential area northwest. Unfortunately, it is rapidly becoming a biological desert due to pollution by 2.7 million people living in the surrounding area, as well as the 720 gigaliters of treated sewage water flowing into the dam. The inflow of treated sewage water increased the amount of phosphate present in the dam. This reduced the biodiversity of the dam, resulting in only 2 plant species, water,
Hyacinth, yeah.
and algae, and only 3 fish species, common carp, bowl, and canary carper, remaining in the dam, leading to an overpopulation of these species. The Department of Water Affairs started a biological control program to reduce the population of the remaining species so that other species could recolonize the dam. After a year, the biodiversity of the dam increased.
Okay, before we even talk about answering the questions, biodiversity means a variety of living organisms. Can anybody tell me why is the biodiversity? Why is it that there's we're always concentrating on biodiversity? A variety of living organisms. Why? Tiffany, you want to lift up your hands and answer? Or are you just going to mumble? Okay, yes? Okay. So let me guess, we have no clue of the importance of biodiversity. Yes? Okay, yes, we can go also more detail.
To keep the environment or ecosystem in balance.
In balance is probably in line with what you're saying, yes? Right. In balance. Now listen, the importance of biodiversity was grade 10 work. Now, with biodiversity, if you look around in the class as well, we are the same species. What is our genus and our species? What's your group name and what's your species name? Okay, you are Homo sapien sapien. Because a sapien is extinct man. Sapien sapien is present man. You will learn that when you do human evolution. Now let me explain to you. With plants, mealy plants, the way the organisms are created, we cannot have one species of mealies. We need a variety of species. Because if there was one species of mealies, all we need is one disease to come and wipe out the entire mealy plantation, and then we have no more mealies. So now, very important. when there's a variety of organisms, with those organisms, there will always be certain organisms with favorable characteristics and those with unfavorable characteristics. Now, I'm going to talk to you about natural selection. Of course, that's what you can do next year. Now, what is favorable characteristics? Species and organisms that have favorable characteristics are characteristics. An organism that has a favorable characteristic is an organism that is well suited to the environment. And the organism that is not suited to the environment has the unfavorable characteristic. Now, let's look at climate change. It has come very quickly and the carbon dioxide concentration is increasing drastically. There are unfortunately some species that do not have the favorable characteristic to be suited to climate change. So what's happening to those organisms? They're dying out, extinction. But there are those organisms that have the favorable characteristics. But what are we doing? We are still carrying on producing the carbon dioxide and the methane. And we're increasing the CO2 levels and we're making this planet uninhabitable. So that is why we need biodiversity. Because amongst every species, there are going to be those organisms with favorable characteristics and those with unfavorable characteristics. That is natural selection. Now we don't have to worry about that because we got technology on our side. As soon as it's getting hotter, what we're doing? We're making another sunblock with a higher SPF. You don't have to worry. But it's in turn, it's our activities that are causing all these problems. So biodiversity. We need a variety of organisms because in nature, there will always be those organisms with favorable characteristics and those with unfavorable characteristics. The organisms with the favorable characteristics will be suited to the environment, will survive, will reproduce. And that's that question you were asking me, natural selection. That's why I would prefer to teach it now. And the organisms with the unfavorable characteristics will not reproduce, will not survive, and will die out. You know this, you learned this already in grade 8. But you know this as survival of the fittest. And I plead with you never to write that in your matric exam. Like I told you, it's like writing Eye of the Tiger in your exam. Also a big misconception, and I hope whoever's watching, matrics are watching, they must know. You cannot use the word adapted. No organism, you take them from one place and just adapts to an area. I can't take a lion that's used to our weather and take it to the ice caps and it just adapts. An organism is either born with a favorable characteristic or not. So never use that word adapted. Never ever. Never ever. You do? Shame. Let's hope your marks can adapt to the situation that you have caused. Please. And that's natural selection. And that is the need for biodiversity. That when all organisms, all species are different, you will have those organisms with favorable characteristics and unfavorable characteristics. That's how it works. In nature, if there are two lions that want to mate with the same female, and there's a young lion and there's an old lion, the female is obviously going to choose the young one, the young lion, with the favorable characteristics, and those genes will be passed on to the entire population. The old lion will die because probably the two lions will fight. And the old one will die, not survive, and not pass on those unfavorable characteristics. And that is the need for biodiversity. If we had one species of mealies, and if I have, my goodness, one disease wipes out all the mealies. No food for us. That in turn, no mealies, less producers, less energy for consumers, for decomposers, imbalance in the food chain. But like I told you, we are human beings, we are at the top of every food chain. And we got technology on our side, so we make sure we have the favorable characteristic. But eventually, we sit here and we joke all the time, there's going to be a stage where we cannot be the top of everything and technology cannot help us. And that's why I sit down here and I teach you. We need to slow down the rate of climate change. You have to. Sitting here and you have a future. You want to go and study next year. You already know what you want to study. You want to have children. Now imagine if the earth is not the same as it is now. Whose fault is it? We have to, each one of us, we have to play that role. We have to. We have to slow down the rate of climate change. And this is a global problem. But I can't change the globe and I can't influence the globe. So we start in-house first. One person. And it's a big, big problem. What happened in South Africa recently? All our cattle, different species, affected by mad cow disease. No meat. Chicken. Avian flu. No meat, no chicken. We have to import our food. But again, like I said, it doesn't affect your pockets. Your parents know it's meat and chicken are extremely expensive. Most of our food is being imported. Most of the solutions to all of these problems I'm giving you is unfortunately sitting in the field called genetics. That's why I was telling you about growing meat. Yes, the scientists they already knew 2015 was going to be the year we weren't going to have water. The scientists sit and they have these scenarios and predictions. They've already told us we're running out of food. If there's not going to be any water, there won't be crops, there won't be meat. So we have to find these solutions. That's why already they're growing the meat. They're anticipating. Most scientists are not reactive, they are proactive. And that's what I'm trying to teach you to do, to be proactive. Right.
I just asked like a side question. Is it possible that, like, let's say they create a cow?
They create.
The scientists create a cow with genetics, and then it mates with like a normal natural cow. Is it possible like to create
Okay, so we've already done that. We've had many different breeds of cattle. The Hereford, the Shorthorn, the Afrikaner cattle, and we've already genetically selectively bred cattle, and we have a cattle called the Bonsmara cattle, and it's named after the person who's actually done that. And that cattle has a lot of meat, that's all we care about, very healthy, very fertile. But we don't allow this favorable characteristics to mix with characteristics we don't want. So we only allow the males to mate with the females of the similar characteristics. Then all that work, because remember, selective breeding is a very long process, right? It's a long process. And again, you've got to do it next year, selective breeding. It's already been done here in South Africa. You will see most of these farms, the Bonsma farms. That's where they're actually doing selective breeding. You do know most of your food is inbred, hey? Your meat is inbred, your chicken are inbred, right? Means, so inbred means from out. All right, let me give you, hold on to your chair, right? I'm going to draw a picture for you, right? I'm jumping straight to matric work, but look, you need to know the need for biodiversity, right? Now, so we all love chicken, am I right? Yes, we love chicken, so I want a chicken. Now, I don't want a KFC piece that only has bones. I want a lot of meat, right? So I want to create chicken like that. So I take the male. Oh my goodness, I cannot draw chicken, so I'm not even going to do that. Right? So I take a male that's very, very healthy, fertile, and has a lot of meat. I take a similar female, also very healthy, fertile, young, lots of meat, and allow the two to breed. Good, no problems, no problems. But then they have children. CCC stands for children. Then what I do is, you guys okay there? Kaylee, you okay? Tiffany, you okay? What did you guys? Yes, children, because you were busy distracted. Right. Children, but now I choose only the best of the children. I choose the male that is strong, fertile, has a lot of meat. Let's say it's this one. And I choose the female that's also young, has a lot of meat and fertile. And inbreed them. And I carry on doing this over a long period of time till all my chicken have a lot of meat, young and fertile. So that's what I mean when I say that your food is inbred. Doesn't matter, still tastes good. When you go for KFC, it's still tasting good. Right? When you're having your piece of steak, still good. Whether it's inbred or not. The point is, we want food, we want meat and food with good characteristics. That's selective breeding. That's something you will talk about, you'll learn about next year. Okay, yes?
But doesn't that cause diseases? Like continuous inbreeding, that mutations and stuff?
The disease might only affect us in 20 years. So, growing population I must feed now. We must feed now. Yes, for every genetics and everything that's unnatural, there will be these long-term unknown health side effects. But in a situation like this where the population is growing, I need to feed them now. I cannot worry about what's going to happen 20 years' time. Do you understand? So that is a decision that has to be made, unfortunately, by some people, right? And unfortunately criticized all the time. But it's not as easy. What's your solution to this? Yes, we don't have any geneticists, so how are we going to make meat in a sack for us? Yes, we're going to import the meat from the sack for us from. Yes, we know where. Yes, but we're sitting here and we're laughing. But come on, guys, how do you make your own country great? You have to do it. You have the potential, of course. You have it. And even if I tell, in the school that I work in, I tell every girl, all of you are great. You, when you leave the school, you can be great. So each one of you sitting here, you can also be great and do something that the country needs. That's how you make this country great. Why must we always be third world? Yes. So that's my job, yes, to educate and inspire you to be different, to take that role in the society. Because you wouldn't take this role. See, this role, it's not for just everybody. And probably you don't want it. You maybe scoff at being a teacher. Yes, but a teacher's job to inspire you, to make you believe you can do anything. Because maths and science is needed for everything. And the only person that stopped you from doing maths and science was yourself. Okay, and that's it. That's the truth. So we laugh at other countries, but we can just be as great. Okay, so don't do those jobs that everybody's going to go into. Yes, we don't have any engineers. Go into those fields. Everything that's hard is worth it in life. Yes. Who said university is going to be easy? Come and meet me here in 2 years' time and tell me university is easy. In fact, here, some of you, I know your names. Oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You won't be able to distract the lecturer. It's different. Teaching and lecturing is two different things. Here we must teach you, answer your questions. It's two different things. You have to take your place in that class. So each of us have that untapped potential. Are you going to be that person who's going to realize their potential or not? That's what you must decide. And sitting here, you are an amazing bunch of students. Eh? It would actually be an honor to teach you in matric. And you can just, if you believe in yourself, you can be great too. I'd love to hear your names everywhere out in the newspapers. You can. So think of something different. Think different. I am already doing my job. I've already done it after this 8 hours. I have educated you. I've inspired you. Even if I gave you that one doubt of your career, my job is done. One doubt where you say, Mammy's right. How do we make a country great? Yes. Passion, drive. You think if I could also just get up and go and become a geneticist, I would not do it. I would do it in a heartbeat. But who sits and takes this role? Yes. Yes. And unfortunately, teaching, we're the lowest paid in South Africa only. Every other country is the highest paid. Right, so remember, be great. Realize your potential. I also have a grade 11 son. I tell him, if you're going to live your life without realizing your potential, what life is that? What life is that? So, and I do this in school as well. I have to tell you. My job is to inspire you. To tell you that when you leave this class in a few hours' time, you can be great. When you start believing it, it will happen. It will happen. So, so there are solutions to every problem. It lies in your hands. It lies in your hands, and there is a solution for everything, and it's easy. We just need the people to take up that role and say, I will do it. Okay, I will do it. So, biodiversity is very, very important. It's much bigger than what you thought. And natural selection is so important. If I can tell you, natural selection, you will definitely be tested in your matric exam. But for now, at least you know the importance of biodiversity. Yes. Now you know why you must always, why we're trying to get rid of those alien plants. Because the alien plants are decreasing our biodiversity. Okay. And we need the biodiversity. Once we start removing one of those species on Earth, eventually it becomes a ripple effect, a chain effect. And then the Earth will not be able to sustain us. I can promise you now, everything we watch on TV in the Wall-E and 2012, there must be somebody who's making this spaceship. That when we destroy the Earth, and when we destroy the Earth, they're going to charge people a lot of money to go to another planet. In fact, on the other day on news, somebody was cross because why haven't scientists found another planet for us to live on? No, man. If we destroyed one planet, we're probably going to destroy that planet already. Right, look after what we have now. There is a problem now. Mars has water. And there are about 28 South Africans that are being trained in Russia to go. But it's a one-way trip to colonize Mars. Yes, this happened about 5-6 years ago. That's what's happening. But for me now, I cannot look at that as a solution. What am I teaching you? Each one of us, we must just take a role and just decrease climate change. Yeah, so why must you have your lights on till so late? You already, yes, we know you're pretending to sleep. Your mother told you to sleep at 9. We know you're pretending to sleep. So under the covers, just play with your phone. Talk to your friends on Instagram. Don't leave the light on and then you lie and you say, I'm studying. When we know behind the books what you got. You got the phone. Yes, we know teenagers, you can only sleep at 11 and 12. And you only wake up properly at 9 o'clock. Yes, we know that. Yes. So go into education, become the minister and change times. From 9 to 3. But all of this, see, we'll do that. Aye. What has happened is eventually from that time, 1850s, we killed the dodo because of habitat destruction, right? And from there, all other organisms, the rate of extinction has increased. Remember, we are in the 6th mass extinction. Presently in the 6th mass extinction, and it's caused by human beings, human activities. So what has happened is the rate of extinction is much, much greater. Okay, imagine we'll be the only ones left here on Earth. The dodo. Do you remember that from grade 10 work, eh? Right. Yes. Okay, my advice is you guys are watching too much TV, right? Maybe we should start studying more. Right, so that is now, I gave you the little lesson on biodiversity. All right. Wait, this mine. Right, so, based on the text, explain what is meant by the term biological desert. I know when you don't know the answer, you're just going to avoid eye contact. So teenagers are teenagers. Yes? So when there's a lack of biodiversity, yes. When there's very few species, a low number of species. Remember, we're never going to use the word adapted, eh? And we're never going to write the word survival of the fittest in the exam. I told you might as well then write eye of the tiger in your exam. Okay? No, there's nothing. I told you that an organism has the favorable characteristic to be suited to the environment or does not have the favorable characteristic to be suited to the environment. That's it. Yes. So that was a quick 15-minute crash course to evolution. Evolution is 66 marks in your paper 2 in matric. Yes. Sorry? It's DNA, meiosis, genetics, and human evolution. Genetics, yes, human evolution. Right, 322. Why the increased phosphate levels caused a decrease in biodiversity? 3 marks. Phosphates, did we learn that word anytime? Yes. When? Yes, so see how they're tricking the learners here. They're not saying nitrates. You learn that fertilizers have nitrates and phosphates. So what is this going to lead to? Eutrophication. So that's the first mark. What does eutrophication cause? Algal bloom. If the algae covers the entire surface of the water, what happens? No oxygen for the plants. Plants die. Fish die. Only 3 marks. So they're asking a decrease in biodiversity. So you have to name which organisms are going to be killed. And how it causes it. So, remember my beautiful picture I drew on the board yesterday with the plants and my infinity sign? The stepwise picture, I hope so. Explain how the reduction in biodiversity can affect the ecological balance in the dam. 323 is actually grade 10 work. You know, when you did in grade 10, ecosystems, food chains, trophic levels, and I'm noticing from this year, 2015, they're asking a lot about it. So please make sure you know this work. So how can reducing biodiversity affect the ecological balance in the food in the dam? How many marks? 4. And that's why this is the section that prevents learners from getting 100% for life science. So for next year, can we at least get one person who's going to get 100%? Yes. So we will see on TV, maths, science, 100%, and life science. Because it's this section, bringing out the grade 10 work. Remember, 15% of life science is supposed to be application. 15, yes. 1-5. So Chris, you answer first, then your friend next to you. What will you say firstly?
Because of eutrophication, certain species of plants will flourish, which will cause other species to die, which will change the balance in the dam, and as a result, other species will be affected as well, which will drastically affect the change, or drastically affect the ecological balance of the dam.
Okay, so you said the two things. So 2 things are correct, and then you said the second 2 points, the exact same things. Right. So if the biodiversity is affected, certain organisms might flourish while other species die. When they ask you a food chain question, please do me a favor and write this answer down. It will cause an imbalance in the ecosystem. You must get a mark for it. So I'm already giving you 1 mark out of 4. Always, if there's a food chain question or a balance in the ecosystem, right there will be an imbalance in the ecosystem or food chain. That will definitely get you 1 mark. With the organisms and lack of food, now let me explain to you, human beings. If you have no food to eat, what will you do? Don't say, I'm just going to die. No, we don't die. And species don't die. You will look for, if there's no meat and chicken and fish, you will look for another source of food. So that's what organisms do. Then they move to another ecosystem and put pressure on that ecosystem. And then there's more competition, and then there's problems. Then still leads to an imbalance in the ecosystem or food chain. Yes, another food source, yes. Because that you should have learned in grade 8, yes. Then there's more competition for resources, eventually imbalance in the food chain or ecosystem. 4 marks. Remember, you must have 4 important points. And then, what is meant by biological control? Bio means living, right? Living. So the use of living organisms to control the numbers of another living organism. The use of living organisms to control the numbers of another living organism. You don't have to write these answers down. You got the year on the top of your paper. Go home, type in Google, and type in the memo. Will come up for you. Just remember that all memos that you see on the internet, memos do change. No memo is perfect, right? So the memos are there. You got homework. You don't have to write down now. You can listen. Next one. That's the last one in the booklet, but I have more for you. 3.3.1. So let's read the part. Irfan, read it out for me, the top part.
The table below shows the global carbon dioxide emissions of fossil fuel combustion and some industrial processes in 2008.
2008, this paper was the March 2015. So you have the countries, China, European Union, USA, India and Russia, Federation, other. Then you have the percentages. Draw a pie chart to represent the data in the table, 6 marks. I'm sure we all can draw a pie chart, but we will not do that now. 3.3.2. Explain the impact of the increased carbon dioxide emissions on the environment. How many marks? 3. So you must have 3 different important answers. I taught you one yesterday. The more carbon dioxide we have that we are producing, it's leading to the enhanced greenhouse effect. What is that also going to be known as in brackets? Let's not use the word global warming, climate change. Yes, put it in brackets. But the increased carbon dioxide concentration is leading to enhanced greenhouse effect. Come. Another impact. Okay, so we'll be happy with 1 out of 3. Yeah, don't throw words at me, you have to explain. Come.
Ocean acidification and coral bleaching.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Ocean acidification and coral bleaching.
Okay, you're probably the only one who knows about ocean acidification. Is your school you do IEB? Okay. So yes, unfortunately, let's hope all the markers know what that is as well, ocean acidification. But I would go with easier things like change in the weather pattern. Okay, although your answer is not wrong, it is correct. We should be doing that as well in the syllabus. You did it in school? You're just researching this on your own. Very good. Not a project at all. Okay, good. That, when you research, please just put it on the group today. All of them can go research and see how scary that is. So they must enjoy their seafood while they can. Ocean basket. If you don't go into the environment, you might not have no ocean basket. I'm joking. So, what's the other one? Climate change. We said how it leads to enhanced greenhouse effect, change in weather patterns, and then can lead to habitat destruction. 3 important points. Three. Each country has been given a mandate to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions to reach a certain target. This is reviewed annually by the Conference of the Parties. I'm sure we heard about the COP conference, a United Nations organization comprising of 195 countries that meets to assess progress in dealing with climate change. Explain 2 reasons why some countries are against reducing the carbon dioxide emissions by their industries. 2 reasons. How many marks? So for whatever you're going to say, you have to give me a reason, statement and reason. So you have to look at the marks. You do remember, okay, some of you have not done it, there's 2 protocols. The Kyoto Protocol is a protocol that was signed by many countries, except a few countries did not sign it, to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. The Montreal Protocol was signed by countries to reduce the amount of CFCs. Okay, just make sure you know. So the Kyoto Protocol is used to decrease the amount of CO2. One of the countries that did not decrease or sign this Kyoto Protocol, guess which country? America. So now explain to us why they are against reducing the CO2 emissions by the industries. But the countries that did not sign the Kyoto Protocol are one of the richest in the world because their machinery are already established. For them to go change their machinery, it's going to cost them too much money, and what are they going to lose? Profit. So that is why they refused to sign the Kyoto Protocol. Because remember now, think of America. Every factory and industry must change their machinery. They're going to lose more money than what they're actually going to be making. So no, they don't want to. And if it's too expensive and they have to change this, and they don't have enough money, what? They have to change the machinery, what will happen? It might lead to, which you're already seeing in America, a lot of job losses. Because if we force them to change their machinery, it will lead to reduction in profit and job losses. So that's why for them, they've chosen not to change their machinery, because they will lose more money, and they will, obviously, all their people will not have jobs.
Apparently, like 300 jobs are lost. Is it 300 jobs? Like so many jobs are lost.
I'm not sure about all of those stats. You're talking about here in South Africa or America? Okay. We'll take your word for it, Josie. Right. Right. Okay, let's worry about our other problems, right? Okay, so now the last question, 333. Would you have known how to answer that question if it showed up in your paper? So what must you do? You're going to have to practice past exam papers. You have to. That's the only way for this section, for for 11, to master this section. And this section is 75 marks. And then for grade 12, only 25 marks. But it's the 25 marks where they can ask you general knowledge questions. Now already about the last one with the machinery. You have to practice the memos. Go over, do the questions, look at the memos. I would make my notes from question papers. Because every year there are different questions. Because remember, people are using the internet. Whatever in the news can be as a case study in your paper. Right. Let me just read to you the ones from the different provinces. Now, before I leave, I don't know if I will see many of you, but remember, if I don't get to see you, so the supplementary papers are a very good standard for you to prepare for next year. So the sub papers are usually more difficult and more challenging. So you must make sure you do the sub papers. The sub papers also set a good standard for what you'll be getting at the end of the year. So this is the Feb-March 2017 paper. I want to read the questions to you. Don't write it down. You can get this on the internet. Right? The one question was, there's a graph and they ask you, what's the human population at 3 million? Very easy, read off a graph. Then they're asking you, now let's see if I've prepared you for this. Describe the difference in the trends of the graph. What is the trend? The pattern of the graph. So they ask you to describe the difference. Then they ask you give 2 reasons for the trends. Next question, 3.5 for 6 marks. Describe how the excessive use of fertilizers by farmers impacts on the quality of water. I think that question all of you can answer. Another question. You can see tons of food thrown away each year. Food security. Explain 2 ways in which the drought is expected to increase the number of food insecure South Africans. And that is for 4 marks. So basically, you can see in most of these papers, they're only asking things that are relevant to South Africa. What's happening? Another question is 2 ways in which shopkeepers can reduce the amount of food going to waste. That is for 4 marks. Right. You have to practice these papers. And then I put on the group for you. Food security exists when all people, all times, are able to get safe, nutritious food. The food must be suitable for dietary needs. 2 factors that need to be considered for food to be suitable for a person's dietary needs. I can tell you now, I've not prepared my learners for this question. So when I go back to school on Monday, that's what I'm doing. Then they ask you, suggest 4 solutions to the problem of food security in South Africa. So the point I'm trying to say is, human impact is very nice to study. But they're going to ask you, we have a lot of problems. We have the problems of climate change, we have the problems of food insecurity, alien plants, and those are the solutions and strategies we're going to ask you, or you might be asked. So you need to practice these papers. You need to get them, you download them, you practice them. Make your notes from this. This is the section, usually question 3, that costs most of their learners their 100%. Because there's always that one answer you can never have. No matter how many papers, like that natural selection question, you can never have it. Right? Yes, question? Forgot your question. Don't make, yeah, that's good. You know, those are the best types of questions when children forget their questions. All right. Yeah, no, that's the only thing I teach girls. So now, it's only 10 minutes, and I want to tell you thank you very much. It has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to teach you. These 8 hours have been amazing. I want to wish you all the best for your exams that are coming up, those first real exams. May you be blessed, and I hope I get to meet you next year at winter school. Okay.